I was very happy to hear at the beginning of these presentations the discussions about other aspects of sustainability. So this is just an explanation from my research, a state of equilibrium between social, environmental, and economic ideals. This is what sustainability is. This is the 20% that we were talking about at the beginning. Let's take energy, where I come from, as an example. Environment. What does environment want? It's always pushing us towards solar. It's always pushing us towards wind. And that's why you always see this wonderful picture when you research the subject. It's always the solar and the wind and grass and blue, beautiful skies. Let us see the force from somewhere else. Economy. Fossil fuels remain the most economic way of producing electricity. This is a reality. We are building in this country the first coal power generation because it has to work. It needs to work. People need energy. And the most economic way to do it is this. Let us see now the third way, society. Us, you, me, everybody around us. Everybody needs energy. Most of them don't care where it's coming from. Coal, solar, they don't care, they don't know, they just need energy. They need the light, they need the power to help them work, eat, and develop. Now, these are independent forces. When you put them together, each one is completely separate. We have policy, we have innovation, we have social awareness. All of these are trying to push in their direction. But then, we reach this. We reach the 20%. This small circle is where everybody should be striving. We should be working towards this small circle, and by policy, innovation, social awareness, we will reach this. We have to reach this. Now, with this explanation of sustainability, I would go on to something a little bit different. In my presentation, I was thinking about what changes do I face in projects that affect me. So economic changes happen during the project cycle. Social changes happen during the project cycle. The environment, everybody before me, and I think everybody after me, will continue to talk about the environment. So I will leave it to them, and I will focus on these two topics. When I first start a project, the forces that push me around are price, scope, and time. And the social, I always have an effect of time, not only on me as a person, but on the laborers, on the engineers. In my field, we are a very much personnel-driven industry. I have, as we speak, about 200 people working around the UAE on projects that I manage. So 200 people are affected by decisions that me and my team make. Now let us look a little bit at price changes. So there could be sustainable price changes like advancement of technologies. Advancement of technology has now proven to us that we can reduce prices by having innovation. Niaz explained to us a lot about what they are doing, how they are doing it to do that. And we at Siemens, we are doing the same. We are thinking about which technology will drive the price down and at the end help the consumer. Customer maturity. 10 years ago, our project used to include a lot of clutter around it. A lot of things were requested by customers. I wish to have that. I wish to have this. Nobody was thinking about the economy until close to 2008, where people started to think, what value am I getting from this? Do I get anything out of it, or I'm just buying it because it's there, it's specified, it is scoped? So I'm always not afraid to go to my customer and talk to him. You don't need that. Do you really want me to buy it and sell it to you? Or let's find another solution. Let's take this out. Let me give you something else better. Obviously, the other way that prices change are competition, healthy competition. So when you have sustainable changes like this in the price, you can see that the price meter goes down. Customer happiness meter, as we all now go towards happiness, the customer happiness meter goes up. On a different scale, we have unsustainable price change, malicious competition. In this world, unfortunately, money laundering is a reality. People walk in and say, I can do things for less, and you have no idea where the source of the money is coming from. This is unsustainable. It will stop. These people will go to jail, and the whole world is trying to change that. We are all trying to be more ethical. Dumping. Some other times, people come in, they don't have work, so they walk in and they dump the prices down. And this, yes, it's nice for some time, but it's also not sustainable. It will stop. Negative margin projects, very similar to dumping. People walk in and they say, I want to make a marketing plan, but instead of paying out for marketing, let me take this out of my margin and I will produce a project that's at a negative margin. Yes, this works for some time, and this helps the price for some time. But then again, we hear about markets that correct themselves. What does this unsustainable price change do? It may or may not push the price meters down, but the customer happiness meter, I assure you, at the end of the day, will be down. Scope change. Sustainable scope change exists. So if there's a genuine requirement for a scope to change, this is sustainable because things are happening for a reason. Better solutions, as we discussed earlier, this most probably drives the price down. And in this case, despite the price meter going up and down, your customer is happy. Your customer trusts you, and he's happy at the end of the day. Unsustainable scope change comes from people taking advantage of their customer. More than often, I get suppliers coming to me expecting that we don't have the knowledge of their product, and they try to sell me a change. This sometimes works, honestly. Sometimes the marketing plan is way too good and it works. But is it sustainable? I doubt. Also, monopoly situations. More than often, we've seen companies in monopoly situations, and capitalizing on this, change the scope here, change the scope there, and it just runs, and then your price meter more than often goes up, your customer happiness meter more than often goes down. It's not sustainable. They're going to stop going to you. Time. Time change is very important. In this world now, everybody is working on something at the same time, doing something else and trying to achieve much more in much less time. So it's sustainable if there is a genuine requirement. A genuine requirement can be many, many reasons, but one of them, for example, when time is of the essence, if you, in my scope, have to energize a substation before the shutdown period starts, and for example, Sharjah needs more power and you are there to support, so you need to really reduce the time of a project. And this has happened. This is important and sustainable. It has to be a possible target. Otherwise, if somebody says, I want you to go back to the US and come back here to report about something within 24 hours, it's just not possible at the moment. And in my field, sustainable time change requires that your partner, your contractor, they have to agree. You need to sell what you want. What does this do? The time meter goes down, customer happiness meter goes up. But time change can also be unsustainable. What happens when somebody comes and says, I want an impossible time target? And sometimes people agree to that, but it's unsustainable. It doesn't work. And if the customer comes and says, yeah, I want you to finish a project in 15 months rather than 18 because I want to. There's no genuine requirement. There's no need for it. And the need has not been explained or agreed. Therefore, if you don't have contractor agreement, I think you might forget it. And there we say the customer happiness meter will go down. The time meter might seem to go down, but in the end, probably will go up, and therefore it's unsustainable. So a lot of economic forces you have to think about when you are requesting changes in projects. Let us look at some social impacts. In the UAE, there is a law that helps us sustain our labor. So the hours that an employee may work are set out in the UAE labor law. This is not a novelty. This is not to have it so that then the UAE can go to the world and tell them, we have the law, it's very nice, and we abide by it and be in the media. Article 65 states, the maximum number of ordinary working hours for an adult worker shall be 8 hours per day or 48 hours per week. Wow. So does everybody work these hours when we have a lot of work? Anybody? I didn't think so. But then, since resources are limited, the law has also outlined what to do. If circumstances of work require the employee to work at the place of work on Fridays, he shall have another day as holiday or be paid additional overtime. So there's an economic incentive. However, you can't do this indefinitely because, again, it's unsustainable. It doesn't work. We're humans. So they are not allowed to work 2 consecutive Fridays. This is the UAE law. And again, it's not here as a novelty and it's not here for nothing. It's here to be able to have the sustainable social dimension of development. What would unsustainable social treatment in projects do? So if you exaggerate the working time for labor, and they will agree, you will have an economic incentive and you say, I pay you 2 times, I pay you 3 times, come every Friday, work 12, 13 hours a day, every day. Obviously, the first thing is EHS risk, and we have seen accidents happen by overworked people. Resentment and feeling of unfairness. You're actually paying additional, but still the labor will feel unfairness. Reduced productivity. I can go on and on and on about productivity curves and how you put more time but you produce less, etc., etc. I think everybody would get that picture. And then mistakes and low quality work, ultimately affecting us. So we have to be sustainable. We have to think about sustainability in every aspect, economic, social, and as I said, my colleagues will explain a lot more about the environment. Thank you very much.